Hello. This is Matt Bublitz, and this is Heckride.
There's like a little.
Fool.
Yeah, Tom's last trick in Cold War was that captain nose grind in Alameda. It wasn't the original idea for that to be Tom's last trick. That was just like a trick he wanted to do. Just because he likes the history with that spot. John Rattray front boarding it back in the day and like duffel skating it. That spot's on like a military base. So like even doing that, just cutting the fence and like swinging it open felt pretty sketchy to me. We noticed that there was a security truck that was just making his rounds. Tom would basically try the trick. We would hide behind the little wall in the runway, and we would wait for the photographer, Ben Karpinski, to like give us the A-OK. He landed one, and I thought it was fine, but I think he might have thought he landed a little stiff-legged, or it wasn't how he wanted to do it. So then he just kept trying it, and eventually got the one that he liked, and that's the one that's his last trick in Cold War. And yeah, that's pretty much the story. But yeah, it was basically just hide and seek. Yeah, so Ben Woosley, aka Mr. New Mex, loves the spot in East LA. I think it's called Repetto Elementary. The first trick he did was the 5-0, which was in low tide. Yeah, that was like the first time I went to the spot. What was the next one? He did front board, kind of grab out to fakie. That was in his high tide part. Somehow he's gotten a trick there for every single video that we've made. It's not the best spot. Bank, especially over time, has just deteriorated. In later footage, you see all the Bondo that has to get used to fill the cracks. Yeah, it's kind of a high bar. The bank's not that good. But yeah, Ben loves it. I swear, like every other weekend when we were kind of brainstorming what spots to go to, people would throw out ideas, and without fail, Ben would always be like, dude, we should go to Repetto. And all of us would kind of look at each other like, dude, we're not going to Repetto. Like, that spot sucks. But like, obviously being a team player, we'd just like go for Ben, and he'd somehow get a new trick there. He's suggested going back again, honestly. I'm sure he's going to figure out another trick to do there, but meanwhile, all the rest of us are just going to be like sitting on our boards, just like bummed. It's just really hard to skate, but for some reason, Ben absolutely loves it.
Jesus Christ, dude. I don't even want to know how long we were here.
That was like the gnarliest battle I've seen you in a while.
Oh.
Yeah, so ever since I started filming with John, he's been wanting to film a Backtail 360 heel on something, which sounds ridiculous, but knowing John and how good he is, I kind of always knew it was possible. But yeah, it ended up being probably like a 10-year battle. It came time, like Backwash was kind of wrapping up, and he still wanted to get that trick, obviously. We were still going to that red curve ledge in LA. It just got to a point where we're talking and we're like, maybe we should just try this on like a more chill ledge. Or I forget who thought of it, but there's this really old ledge in Laguna Beach that people skated a long time ago, but it's been knobbed for like a really long time. We were like, oh, that ledge would be good. Like it's really low. It's like a good curve, because having a curve obviously helps with whipping you out to get the full like 360 heel flip. I think we went the next weekend, tried it for the first time on that ledge. Just from the get-go, he was like sliding a lot more of them. He was like trying it a lot more. He even technically landed one, but especially after trying that trick for such a long time, like daydreaming about how you want to do it, it just wasn't up to par with what he wanted to put in a video. We just had to come back to try it again. So we went back a second time to the Laguna Beach ledge. That was the day he ended up landing it, but it was a lot of backtails, a lot of backtail fakies, a lot of landing on the board upside down, sticking it but slipping out. He landed a few, but there would be like a toe touch or a tic-tac. Finally, he got the one that I used in the video where he just somehow does it perfectly, and the board kind of flips like magic. It's pretty trippy to watch. I think you see in the footage, he's tried it for so long that he doesn't even know that that's the one. He's just like, dude, there's always something. It's such a technical trick that it's near impossible to get like a absolutely flawless one.
Wow.
Why is there always like something? There's like a little.
That's when I first started to film HD. And it was also right when Tom was getting on New Balance and they were filming that first edit that they did with Russell Houghton. Yeah, that was just like a cool time of going up to LA a bunch and skating with new people. Like, I think that's how I met Jordan Taylor and how I met Tyler Surrey and Archo. Like, skating with all those guys is kind of how I got my foot in the door and ultimately got my first job in skating, working for the Skateboard Mag early on. Yeah, around that time, Russell Houghton was working with Dylan Rieder, filming his clips for Cherry. Just from my experience of seeing Dylan skate those tables, he would never really try him for that long. And then I think it was either Russell or Ryan Allen that mentioned, like, yeah, he only tries this for like 10 or 15 tries, and if it's not working out, like, he'll just like stop, just try the next day, just because he needed like the maximum pop power to kind of do those tricks over the picnic tables. So at that time, Tom was filming with Russell Houghton a lot, and Dylan would just be on the sessions too, just because they're friends and they film together. And when Tom got in the mix with the crevice, like, I started just tagging along for the sessions. Yeah, that day we just met up and Dylan was skating this mini table in the valley. Yeah, anytime I got to see Dylan skate or be on a session with him, I was like so intimidated, especially during that era. He was like such like a superstar, and like when you saw him in real life, it was like seeing a celebrity kind of. So like I would just be like so quiet, and like you could kind of tell by the way I filmed it, it was like so far away, like I don't even want to move the camera. It's just like on the ground basically, just like didn't want to bother him. I don't know, I wouldn't say I poached the angle, but maybe I poached it, I don't know. Yeah, I remember he was just like front blunting it like super easily, front blunt fakie. He would like freak out. I remember he flipped the table at one point. But yeah, he eventually got the front blunt kickflip that was in Cherry. And it's kind of a drag that my angle wasn't a little bit wider because his rollout, he had kind of like that classic Dylan like arms up rollout, which I wish I could have seen more of in my angle. But I guess I can't change that. So I feel like I battle a lot of my tricks. It kind of started by Tom showing me the spot, just like after a session one day, we were just driving by, he's like, oh yeah, I found this thing. It's just like a fun spot to skate, like you just roll on grind up this thing, and you could take it to flat. I think it just started as kind of like a pipe dream or just like a joke. Oh, what if I just grind up and do a kickflip and like land on it? That spot's pretty far, it's probably like an hour away from me at least. Going there was definitely a mission. Like whenever we were kind of in the area, I would just like give it a go. A lot of those sessions, yeah, it's me just trying it again and again and again and again. The hardest part was just staying on top of it. When you roll on grind and try and kickflip out, your body just naturally wants to go to the left. But it was hard for me to like roll on grind completely straight, land perfectly on top of it, and then just pop out. Also that ledge from like me just like jumping on it so many times from the kickflip started to chip really gnarly. So even when I would get into it pretty good, I would just come to a complete stop and not be able to land it. I definitely went there at least 4 or 5 different sessions. The day I ultimately landed it, just like for fun, I set a timer on my phone. I was like, okay, if I land this, like I just want to see how long this takes. I think it was like 2.5 hours or something of just straight trying, just like try, turn around, try. On that last session, I technically landed it, but my front truck wasn't grinding. It was like a front feeble. Even though I was like super tired and so over it, I was like, like I have to do it again. Like that's like I can't run with that one. Luckily, it was only like a couple tries after that. I like fully got the one that I wanted. That was like a huge battle for me. Like all said and done, it was probably like 500 tries at least. Yeah, with all the mileage put into it too, it was probably like $200 worth of gas or something.
Fool.